Welcome to TreasureTress Airport. To celebrate our 5th birthday, we've curated some in-flight entertainment for you to enjoy on your journey. Once we reach a safe altitude, you're welcome to plug in your earphones and tune into our in-flight entertainment. Once we are at a safe altitude, you're welcome to put your headphones in, recline your seats, and enjoy. All right, ladies, welcome to TreasureTress HQ, and welcome to the in-flight entertainment, or thank you for providing the in-flight entertainment for TreasureTress Travels. So I'm really excited to have this conversation with you all. It's definitely more of a discussion, but I'm really keen to hear all of your individual experiences as Black British women in business. So to start with, would you mind just introducing yourself, saying your name, the name of your business, and are you a duty-free shopper, or are you someone that heads straight to the gate?
So I'm Flo, the founder of MDM Flow and Flow Beauty Co., a colour cosmetics brand and a skincare and wellness brand. I am definitely a duty-free shopper, especially when it comes to fragrance. I got to get my Elizabeth Arden 8-hour cream, and then every now and then a cheeky pair of sunglasses.
I'm a perfume type of girl.
Yeah, I love it.
Hi, I'm Tiwa, and I'm the founder of Confident and Killing It. So I'm a confidence coach, podcast host, and just all-round positive vibes babe. Yes, I'm a duty-free shopper, but mainly for the alcohol.
Okay.
If I'm being totally honest, I do get my favorite perfume from duty-free as well. So gotta balance, mix of both.
And which alcohol were you going for in duty-free?
It depends on where I'm going to.
Okay,
so,
you went to Santorini recently.
So when I went to Santorini, I got some champagne because it was like a bougie holiday, and a rosé as well. So yeah.
Cool. My name's Jamelia. I'm founder CEO of TreasureTress, and I am a duty-free shopper, but just for perfume and snacks for the aeroplane, because aeroplane food just doesn't hit for me.
Hi, I'm Trina. I am the founder of the Curve Catwalk, which is the UK's first plus-size dance class. And I'm not a duty-free shopper because I'm usually late to the airport, so I have to dash to my gate. Yeah.
Do you get nervous, or are you just like, do you know, I know I'm going to make it. The plane's going to wait for me. You are.
Because I don't like the whole queuing up stuff. Like, I have my seat. Like, it's all
Have you ever
good.
missed a flight though?
No, I've never missed a flight.
Wow, okay.
I have, and it's one of the worst experiences.
You know, and to be fair, when I say late, I'm never at the stage where they're calling my name. I'm just like, I usually get there when boarding is happening. So I'm not doing the whole queuing and fighting. It's just like, I just stroll in like.
I'm here, guys.
So yeah, no duty free for me.
Hi everyone, my name is Victoria. I'm the CEO and founder of Sumo Snacks. So I'm definitely a duty-free shopper. I'm makeup, and I always stock up on mascaras that expire because it's like 12 months long. And I'm definitely a perfume girl when it comes to duty-free.
There we go. So basically everyone's duty-free shopping but Tree. Good. Fair. I'm not judging you.
She's rolling in as we're at checkout.
So my first question for you guys is, what did you think you were creating when you started your business? So Tree, I might start with you on this one actually. When you started Curve Catwalk, what is it that you thought you were doing versus what it has now become?
So when I first started it in 2018, I thought I was creating a space for myself, number one, that I wanted to dance and create fun routines for me and my friends. Like, literally, that was it. What it has become is a real community. It's become like a safe space for, thousands of women. Just to dance for sure, but it's a real space to like build on your confidence, your self-esteem, to try something new, like stepping out of your comfort zone. I don't know if we're going to get into it later, but where the business has gone is crazy. But it started off for me, and now it's a place for other people.
I love that. I think it's really important, and I think it's a huge advantage when you are your own consumer, because then you're always able to forward think and think, oh, this is what I want, so this is what my consumer probably wants as well.
And I think that also changed. Like, I didn't feel like I needed to do the whole like, what's the business plan? Like, I didn't do that whole like, pages and pages of paper. It was like, what do I want? That's what I'm going to create. And then hopefully it resonates with other people.
Mm-hmm. I didn't do a business plan either. Did anyone do like a full-on couple of page business plan? I feel like you did.
Well, because I was applying for a loan, so I had to have somewhat of a plan. But as soon as I secured the money, I don't even think I looked at the plan.
You got the bag.
Yeah.
How about you, Victoria?
So our business plan wasn't complete. I think it was a whole load of, this is our mission and vision. But I'm very like meticulous when it comes to planning. So I literally have a timetable of like what I'm gonna do day to day. So yeah, I am quite of a obsessive planner. Yeah.
I used the lean canvas model and I literally just filled in all of the boxes and I was like, okay, cool, we're ready to go. Because I was like, I can't justify the time it's going to spend me to write out this business plan because who's going to read it other than me right now? How about you, Flo? You used the lean one as well.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Cool.
What did you think you were creating when you created it?
So when I started my brand, I thought I was creating the like beauty version of a streetwear brand, and I was really obsessed with like streetwear culture, like brands like Supreme, which now like looking at Supreme, they're like $1 billion brand. Like who would have thought? Like not me. But so I just thought, I'm just creating something that's just going to be really cool, like a bit of a cult type thing, and it was that. And then now I'm like, no, I want to be the biggest brand in the world. And I think it's just as I've gone through the process of like running a business, my mindset around what I can achieve has like grown so much. So I'm like, I'm not going to limit myself to just being like this cool cultural thing. Like I want, and also like the beauty industry's changed, like Fenty launched, like diversity is such a big conversation within the industry. And I feel like it should be Black women who like lead. It shouldn't be like brands that have never cared about us that suddenly take up all the market share because they've released a couple more shades. Like it should be actually like women who care about like diverse women's needs. So now I'm just like, I want to be the biggest, baddest brand.
I love that. And I completely agree. It shouldn't be Black women just being the consumers. Like we should be the
100%.
pioneers. And you picked up on skin shades really early on, and the fact that we didn't have shades that were catering to our skin tone. So what's it been like for you? Because you started when you were 22.
Yeah.
I don't know how old you are now.
I'm 29 now. And it's so, I feel like I always say like my business has almost been like my life MBA type thing. Because when I started, like I studied cosmetic science, I was a formulator. So I knew how to make products, but I didn't know anything about business. And so it's just been, now when I look at my 22-year version of myself, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, just doing anything. But at the same time, like being so naive in a way, like meant that I just did what I wanted to do, which has been great. Because at the beginning, a lot of the things that I wanted to do are like just normal in the industry now. And people were telling me like, oh, you can't have blue lipstick. Now you walk down the street and you see a woman with blue lips and no one says anything. So like just little things that I just kind of like intuitively did because that's what I wanted. Now I'm like, actually, like I can have like a growth plan around this, and I can, more than have this one shade, like have a shade selection. So I think, and I always say this to like young women all the time who want to do things, like your passion like counts for a lot, even if you don't really know what you're doing, and you can fill in the gaps along the way as you go.
Absolutely. Tiwa, you're nodding a
Yeah.
lot. I know you agree with that much.
Yes, definitely. I think passion plays such a big role in everything you do, especially when you're starting a business, because if you like, passion is what keeps you going. It's what sets your heart on fire, So I think that's when you also feel your most confident self, when you're doing what you love. And so, I really agree, like putting passion at the heart of everything.
Mm-hmm. And you're pure good vibes, and I think we had a fangirl moment when we realised that we all discovered you on the Beauty Stack Summit, and we were like, wow, she's incredible. So how did Confident in Killing It start, and did it start as a business, or were you just like helping friends and like then you just noticed you had this skill? How did it unfold?
So I was actually volunteering as a youth leader, and so I was working in an engineering company in their marketing department, and I absolutely hated it. And I was like, there needs to be more to my life than being stuck in a job that I hate. So I decided to volunteer as a youth leader and start working with some teenage girls. And I realized they all had confidence issues. And I was like, I remember when I was 16 and I hated my skin, I hated my body. I was like, how are we here again? Another generation of young women growing up and the narrative hasn't changed. I was like, this is crazy. Like, why are we acting like it's normal? It's not. And so initially my brand was called Your Wake Up because it was all about waking women up to like the greatness within them. And my plan was to like read loads of books and watch loads of Oprah videos and then basically like create like a platform where people could come and read like the book reviews and like get inspiration and like knowledge and things like that. But when I made my first video about how important it is to love and believe in yourself, which was my own words, not from any book that I'd read, I started getting loads of DMs from girls, and then I was giving out loads of advice, and then I was like, let me just put on an event and see if people turn up. And then I got like 200 emails of like women registering when I was expecting like 30. And then the event was called Confident and Killing It 101, which is all about like self-love. So that's what the event was called. And then after that event, because it like literally blew up everywhere I went, people were like, hey, Confident and Killing It, hey, Confident and Killing It. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, hey, that's me. So I literally just created the Instagram page. The domain was free. The Instagram name was free. Everything was like aligned. So I was like, okay, it's Confident and Killing It. And it's really still going to be about waking women up to their worth so they can be confident, unstoppable, and live the life that they truly desire. So now I've gone into like corporate workshops as well and looking at well-being in the workplace for women and using your voice in the workplace. Got the podcast, and now I'm building a community. So it's definitely grown in the space of a year. This is all this year, yeah, because I started in 2016 with just Instagram videos till last year when I quit my full-time job to run Confident and Killing It full-time is when everything just exploded. So yeah, I'm excited for next year to see where that takes me.
Amazing. And this year's been huge for you because you've had a ton of corporate clients.
Yeah.
What was your career before you went full-time?
So I was working for a female empowerment NGO, and they were all about using media and technology to support teenage girls living in developing countries. So I was still doing stuff around supporting women because that was another thing. I was like, I want my full-time job to be aligned with my passions, and that was all around empowering women through community, tech, and content, and using media in a powerful way. That's my real mission, because I think media is so powerful, and if we can create media that actually makes women feel good about themselves rather than makes them feel insecure, then we can really start having a positive conversation in society. Yeah, this year I've just been focused on like, I think when I started the community, so many women who came to my webinars this year were like, oh, Tiwa, I work at Facebook. I would love to have you. Or like, oh, you know, I work at Google. Like, we're putting on an event. Please come and be a speaker. And I was like, sorry, what? You know, like it was just crazy. So yeah, I'm really like just grateful for how it's grown. But like that's the power in community. You don't have to do it on your own. And now I haven't sent one outreach email since July. All my business this year has just come to me.
Amazing.
And I'm like, wow, this is some serious manifestation.
Yeah.
Like God is good, you know, but like that is the power of community where and Black women supporting each other. All of those opportunities came from Black women in all those incredible tech companies putting me forward.
Victoria, so as we talk about transitioning from corporate to full-time entrepreneurship, do you want to take us through your career journey today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I studied accounting and finance at uni. I always knew I wanted to be a business person from like 16 years old. And then I just knew I needed the skills, like the financial literacy, to be able to do the behind the scenes work, to do things like get investors, and just to plan the business. And so I ended up, of course, working in finance. And I mean, I'm a people's person, so I love just being in the office and that support that you get whilst you're there. So transitioning into entrepreneurship for me was like, okay, I'm going to be at home. I'm going to either be in an office by myself. And it's just that interaction at first I didn't have. And it was really scary for me. But I found that like my business, from like going back to your first question, my business now to what I imagined it would be at the beginning is very inclusive of so many people. Like I get messages from young people all the time. And because we went into Sainsbury's, Sainsbury's buyers have said, a lot of people see your brand and they've decided, oh, I want to put an ethnic product in store. Like Black founders are coming to Sainsbury's and approaching them in the numbers, just like realizing that they can do it as well. So I realized we've kind of built a community around Sumo, which I didn't expect before. I just thought it's going to be me knocking on everyone's door, badgering people with emails and just like sending out samples. So it's definitely been something where the community has come on board. And I don't think I'll go back to finance. I remember telling people in the office, I don't want to leave. Like, I really don't. But it's just, there's so much more that you can do, and you realize that your time is much better spent on your passion than in something that you're not so passionate about, but it gives you a good paycheck at the end of the day. So yeah, it was a hard transition at first, but I'm really glad that I made it.
And how long did you balance the two for? So how long were you side hustling before you took it full time?
So the whole time I was working, right? So the whole time through university, I was working on Sumo, going to market stores. Whilst I was working in finance, I was still, going to trade shows. So the launch of Sumo was literally whilst I was in finance. So I would wake up at like 7 a.m, go on the trading floor, be in the little room in the back, like sending emails for Sumo. So it was a balance the whole way through. Long hours, early mornings, late nights. So yeah.
Nice. And have you ever felt as though, or what's it been like introducing a quote unquote ethnic product to the market? Because I know there is a temptation in this. I know that when I started TreasureTress, one of the first pieces of feedback that I got when I spoke to investors for the first time was, you should create a box like this for white women as well. And it was like, no, that's not really what I'm doing. That's not really my lane. There's a problem that I'm actually solving for Black women, so that's who I'm going to continue to focus on. Did you ever feel like you had to water down your brand to make it more palatable to a wider audience?
I did. So initially, I would have my picture on the Instagram page as our main picture before we had our logo. And I actually got messages from Black people just saying, you shouldn't have your picture on there because people won't buy from you because you're Black. And I was just
Black people said that to you?
Like a Black man. And I would go to trade shows and I remember them, it was so patronizing, but he was just like, do you really feel like people are going to buy from you? Like a Black man, do you really think people are going to buy from you because you're Black? And obviously it's gone completely full circle where he's messaged me I want to help you with marketing now. But
your marketing didn't help.
And it's just I love that there's a whole Black owned business movement now where people are boldly their brand. I changed the picture just because we've got our logo now, but I wasn't shy about showing that I'm the founder of the company. And I would read stories of businesses that would only reveal that they're Black when they made £1 million or so. And I just thought at the time it was just so unspoken. It was just a thing that we would just kind of brush under the carpet and it was just done. But now people are boldly showing, I'm the owner of this business, I'm Black. So I love that. So yeah, definitely, I would say there's been a lot of changes. I would hide, but now it's just so, I wouldn't say I water it down to the white community because even though I'm Nigerian, I am British. So people might look at the brand and be like, there was a comment on our Instagram Plantain Crisp have gone to Harvard. And I'm just well, a lot of people look at the brand and say, this is really, it's not an African looking brand, but at the same time, I'm British. So it's very much representative of my background. I'm very East London. I grew up in London, so it's not like I'm trying to cater to the white community. I'm just kind of catering to people like myself, which we have a mixture of backgrounds.
Fair. Did anyone else hide their face when they started their business? I know that when I launched TreasureTress, it maybe took me about 2 years before I was actually comfortable putting myself forward or exposing that, this is who's behind TreasureTress. Unless you knew me personally, you wouldn't know that I was the owner of TreasureTress. And I think it was, I don't know what it was. I just felt I don't know, maybe it was insecurity. maybe it was uncertainty, I don't know, I just didn't feel comfortable doing it. Did anyone else have that experience? And then Tiwa, I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on why women do that.
I did.
Really?
Yeah, like when the Curve Catwalk started and like the videos on the Instagram started like being shared, nobody knew it was me, like behind the brand. But I think that was because I started realizing when I started getting feedback from the women that were coming to the classes, etc., and how much the space meant for them, and you know how much like how much their confidence was growing and stuff. For me, I saw it as like this is no longer like this isn't about me. I felt like this really isn't about me. It's about them. So I just thought it didn't kind of make sense to just have my face plastered everywhere. It was really about them. So I wanted to then showcase the community and the women coming to this space. So I never really thought about it in a sense of like, I'm hiding myself. I just literally saw it as it's not about me. Unless you were in the room, like in that dance class, and obviously I'm teaching, so you know it's me. But in terms of the message and in terms of the journey that people are going on, it's like it wasn't about me. So I mean, still to this day, really, I mean, a bit more now you will like see my face pop up, but still you don't really see me. Yeah.
And I think you have other women go and teach classes as well, so it really is about everyone that's a part of it actually stepping forward and doing their thing as well.
And that contributes to the success of it. It really is about like the community that they make it what it is. So I think to have a focus on me, it just didn't really make sense to me. It really is about them and their contribution to the space.
Absolutely. How about you, Flo?
So I'm the complete opposite. I've always like put myself out, but I think within my industry, there's a lot of like visible founders, and most of them are white, and for a long time, white males, and only recently have like women been like, you know, the faces of their brand. And something that massively inspired me at the beginning of my business was Sophia Amoruso, the founder of Nasty Gal. And I love the fact that she like was so, like, did all these interviews, all these like, whether it be TV, magazines, and she was so audacious about the fact that she like was a school dropout and she didn't have any business education, and she did it all on her own. And I was thinking like, Black girls need someone who can show that they can do it too. So from the very beginning, I've just like been like, yeah, this is me. And also like, I'm a massive advocate for like STEM and like young people getting jobs and careers within like science, technology, engineering and maths. So I wanted to show the fact that I'm a scientist, because a lot of beauty brands are like, if it is founded or fronted by a woman, like she's a supermodel or she's an influencer, which is great, but you can also be like a massive geek and start a brand.
100%.
So that's something that I've wanted to like really show. And like you said, I've had people say to me like, oh no, like you talk about race too much in your interviews. And I'm like, even till this day, majority of my customers are white. Like they literally don't care. Leave me alone. Like, it's an important conversation to have, and it's been really helpful now that the conversation like in general has moved to now people being like, oh, okay, now as a society we're ready to talk about race, because before it was like, oh, you know, you're the rebel that's always talking about issues that like Black women face when it comes to beauty. And it's like, well, actually, no, like Black women are always talking about it to each other. And like we need like advocates who are going to speak about it on bigger platforms, so that things that have happened over this year specifically can happen and people be like, okay, this is a big problem.
I completely agree with what you're saying. I think it's so important to own your story and to actually show up as a founder. And I've always had my face from the beginning, because I was sharing my story and kind of like talking about how important it is. But I also understand that if you're building a community, sometimes it's not always about you. But what I see a lot of female founders worried about is the fear of judgment. You know, what if people don't like this piece of content? What if people don't like how I look? I remember remember I was coaching a yoga teacher and she was like, I don't feel I'm slim enough to be a yoga teacher. So she didn't want to put content out there. And so it's that fear of, are people going to judge me? Am I not perfect? Do I look like the typical scientist or, you know, makeup artist or founder? And I think that fear of what will people think of me often stops women from showing up as their true authentic self. But as Black women, like, representation is so important, because a young girl is going to see that and go, if she can do it, I can do it too. So I've always wanted to be like the face of my business, because I think like confidence and joy, they're contagious. I want another woman to see my confidence and be like, wow, if Tiwa can do it after being such an insecure teenager, that means there is hope for me too. But I feel like if I'm hiding, then people don't get to hear my story. And I think there is so much power in all of our stories. They need to be shared so that women also give themselves permission to show up and be confident and put themselves out there.
I love that. I really do. I feel like there's also so many internal conversations that I have with myself a lot of the time as well. Like, for example, I'm November Box. I'm on the front cover of it, and I've never been on the cover of the magazines that go in our box, and I didn't want to. And I was like creating this big fuss, but I did not get listened to. And my picture was used anyway. But there were so many conversations I had. It was like, oh, I hope everyone doesn't think that I'm self-centered. I hope everyone doesn't think that this is just me and I think I'd done it all by myself, when really I had the help of my team. I hope that people don't think, and I, like, all of these things went through my head. And then I just have to like think back to conversations that I have. Like, Tree sends me messages all the time, always at the perfect time, like, you're doing amazing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, let me think back to something that someone said that affirmed me, that made me feel like, okay, no, Jamelia, it's all right to be on the cover because you have worked really hard for a really long time. So I think it's really interesting that, like, we have those conversations, but then as Black women, we also just layer this additional layer of pressure. I think even when it comes down to appearance, because as Black women, we don't fit into this typical standard of beauty as it is. And I feel like when you're in front of a business, or especially in front of a beauty business, you feel like you have to be perfect all of the time. And it's like this extra layer of pressure. What are some extra layers of pressure that you guys feel like you put on yourself, or society puts on you as a Black female founder?
I just think, because even though it's kind of changing, food and drink is very corporate, so it's like dominated by white males, or just even white females. There's not that many females, but definitely white males. So I think pressures I put on myself is just, are they going to take me seriously? Are they going to listen to me? When we go to trade shows and we're speaking to buyers, they're like, oh, you're so sweet. You're so... And it's just like, okay, are you going to even stock me, type of thing? So I think the pressure is just, you know, am I being listened to? And I don't think it's like unjust, because it's true. Sometimes, like, I've been to our manufacturer and a member of staff, so I was working on the floor with the production, and the member of staff was like to me, oh, how long have you been working at Sumo? And I was like, and everyone was looking at her like,
Correction.
I am Sumo.
Correction.
And they was like, oh, so it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's uncalled for pressure, but it does make me feel like, should I put someone else there when it comes to sales calls or when it comes to sales meetings rather than myself? So yeah, it's a bit of a pressure that way. But I just realized, especially because the buyers have warmed to me, that I'm probably one of the best people to sell my brand at the moment. So
Absolutely. That's crazy. Have you ever had an experience like that? I've definitely had an experience where people assume that I wasn't the owner.
I actually haven't, but probably because I'm just so bait. Like, my face, like, you Google the brand and my face comes up. But I think for me, my pressures have been more about like how I look, because being in the beauty industry, like, everyone is so beautiful. Everyone's using 100 filters. Everyone's in it like an incredible makeup artist. Even the fact that, like, I did makeup for a while working on counters, but I'm not a makeup artist. And there's all these, like, you know, incredible makeup artist fronted brands, and they can do these glamorous looks on Instagram Lives. And I was like, guys, what do you think about this color? And so I think there's times where I've just kind of, and it's a weird thing because it's never been external. And my customers and my community are like so strong and so empowering, which I absolutely love, because a huge theme within my brand is confidence. But there are certain times when I'm just like, just not really feeling myself. I've put myself out there. So like even the day that like we were talking to you earlier about like filming for Channel 4, like literally up until the day before, I was like, I haven't pressed my hair, I can't have a makeup artist because of lockdown, like, do I still want to do this? And I just had to like go in and obviously do it. And then other times I'm like, it's not important. And like, I always think like, how can I want my customers to feel confident and try and empower them if I'm not like empowered myself? But yeah, Instagram can be very tough, especially when like you're putting yourself out to like thousands of people. And once I had someone DM me and tell me I was ugly
I'm sorry,
on
what?
my brand page. Just like, yeah. So, and in that moment I was having a good day, so I was just like, okay, blocked. But it's stuff like that, I think you're like, how am I? But then it's not important. And that's what I always have to come down to. It's like, at the end of the day, I have an incredible community who, in most part, don't even care about how I look like. They care about the quality of the product, how the product makes them feel. And I look fine.
You do look fine. Everything is popping. Yeah, I really relate to that, because before I put my first video out on Instagram, my immediate thing was, you have to have clear skin before you start making videos on Instagram. Like, you have to have like full face beat, because you know, if you go on, and I had a lot of acne at the time, I was like, if you go on there and your skin isn't clear, people are going to judge you for that. But then I had to remind myself that the message in me that I'm delivering to the world, the story of my brand or the product or the service, is way more important than what I look like, how much I weigh, the color of my skin, whether I have spots or I don't have spots. So I think re-looking at like, what's my real purpose here? Like, what's my mission? And let all the negativity just kind of like, just block it out. Like, someone asked me the other day, like, how I deal with negative comments. And I was like, my haters don't actually have access to me. Like, I'm not even like, I can't see you. Like, if I have haters, great, but I have no idea if they're actually there, because you dare not like, you know, come into my space and tell me that, you know? So I think it's so important to realize like, your opinion of yourself matters more than other people's negative opinions of you. And you will have haters, like, they're there. If Beyonce can have haters, like, who are we not to have haters, you know? So I think it's a natural part of life, but like you said, building that confidence to know that somebody else's negative opinion of me isn't who I am, so I can just kind of like push that to the side and focus on what I'm really doing here.
And when we talk about building confidence, Curve Catwalk always comes to mind, because I've seen the comments that people have left on your page. I've seen how even just attending the workshop has changed people. Even when you hosted one for us at TreasureTress, I was just like, oh my God, wow, this is actually incredible. So what's been your experience with seeing people's confidence grow through coming to the Curve Catwalk? And how did that how does that continue to inspire you to do more?
It's actually really emotional for me. I think because I don't even think I understood the power of the space and the classes. So when I then started getting feedback from people telling me their experience, telling me how it's literally impacted their life, how their life has changed, and also just different people's journeys, different people's backgrounds. So, you know, we get all kinds of women that come. So people who have gone through maybe like sexual assault, it could be something as extreme as that, or, you know, like mothers where your body's changing after giving birth and they're just trying to connect with themselves again, to younger girls who just don't have confidence at all. So I think for me, especially over a period of time when I'm seeing people, you know, walking in and they're shy or they're wearing like super baggy clothes, to after a period of time when like they're coming in their crop top and like their batty riders, I'm like, okay. But I think like representation is so key, because you'll be in this space, like people come up to this, like show up and there's a room of like 20 other women. And it kind of, reaffirms things for you. Like, oh, okay, I'm a bigger girl, but I can wear a crop top or fishnet tights, and that's okay. She's wearing that. She's wearing it and she looks good. Like, let me try it. So I think it's nice when we talk about community, because that message is not always coming from me. Or like some people, I might say that and some people might resonate with it and take it, but some people might not. So it's nice that it's that sort of message isn't always coming from me, and it's always other women in the room as well, that you just kind of thinking, oh, if she can do it, I can do it. She can do it, I can do it. So that's really, really important. And I think when women do come into the space and when we are dancing, I always tell them, like, it's not even about the dancing. Like, you don't have to be a good dancer. People are like, oh, I can't dance. It's like, that's not even the part of it. It's just about you yourself, for one, showing up for yourself, for sure. Like, even just being in the room. So many people say, like, they've bought a ticket and then they just haven't turned out because they're just like shy or they're anxious. So even just showing up, like acknowledging the fact that you have shown up for yourself, and then just what you go through. I always say to a lot of people that just that experience of like feeling the fear and doing it anyway, we really overlook those moments. Like, it's a big deal. Like, really acknowledge, like, actually I was scared or I wasn't confident in a situation and I did it and actually it worked out, or I did it and I felt great. Like, acknowledging those moments. And I get a lot of the women to acknowledge those moments in the class, because it's like that sort of experience, that journey that you've just been on in this whole 2-hour class, that's something that that can relate to any area of your life, whether it's work, whether it's starting a business, whether it's your family, whatever it is, that whole, I was really anxious, I'm scared, but I'm going to push through it, I'm going to step out my comfort zone, and actually it wasn't that bad. You know what I mean? Just getting used to acknowledging those moments, because that can apply to any area of your life. And that's when people realize, like, oh, it's not really about the dancing, is it? And I'm like, no, like, you've come out of this room and learned so much about yourself, but I feel like we don't often check in with ourselves and like give ourselves that credit of, I've actually accomplished something, I've achieved something. That means if I've done it once, I can do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think checking in and having that moment is really important. And I think what I love most about your journey is that I can clearly see that your life purpose is reflected in literally every single thing that you touch. How does anyone else take time to sit back and be like, oh, what am I actually here to do? And this is beautifully connected to it.
That's a deep question. Yeah, I'm a massive believer in purpose, and I always say, like, I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else or working in any other industry, because I really understand the need for me, like, being within the beauty industry. And like with a lot of the things that I said before, like whether that's like the science element of my brand, like I absolutely love that I can like speak on it and I can talk about, what's in my products, which I was doing when I launched in 2013. Whereas now there's this whole like beauty movement around people wanting to know what's in their products and what they're using on their skin. To like having really colors that empower people, like bright and bold colors that are like really unusual and different, to now like people like you coming in and being like, confidence is important. So for me, I'm like, anytime I kind of get a bit like carried away with like the business and the numbers and like my expectations of where I want to be at, I'm always like, well, what you're doing aligns with your purpose. So you're doing the right thing regardless. And so everything else will work out. And so that's more so the mindset that I have like day to day. So I don't get carried away with, wanting to hit the next target or do the next big thing.
I think for me, it's been so important to define success on my own terms. Because for me, success was about how many likes or followers or how many people commented, I was a hot mess, because there will always be somebody with more numbers than you, period, So, and when I was always looking at the numbers, I was losing track of why I was doing what I was doing in the first place. And one of my favorite definitions of success is Maya Angelou's definition. And she says, success is liking who you are, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. And so when I just started looking at life through that lens, I realized like success isn't about how many people show up or sign up to a workshop. Success is about, did I myself have the courage to believe in what I have to offer and put myself out there to put on the workshop? And that just made me feel a lot more grounded in everything that I was doing, and knowing that I'm creating the impact that I want to create because it feels true to me when I really stop and think about it.
Victoria, how have your life experiences like led you to where you are now to make you feel like, yep, I'm qualified to do this, I can really do this?
Yeah, I think going off of success, I definitely feel like every time I put out something, I get the gratification of I've achieved, even without the feedback, just because I think for a time there was where I was a bit like, I got to a stage, I was very bold, confident as a youth, but then I got to a stage where I was very in myself, and I was kind of apprehensive to put things out. So I think I get the gratification of just from putting things out there, and I realized afterwards that people see things even if they haven't kind of shown you that they've seen it. So that feedback, just knowing that, you've put that out there now, it's gonna pay itself back in some time. I think my journey, I feel like my mum is a big part of me just feeling like I'm the ish. Like, I can do this. Like, I don't think I think people sometimes say, oh, how do you get the confidence to maybe speak publicly or things like that? But I've just always had that internally. I've never really felt like I'm not worthy of certain things. I've just always felt as though I'm worthy of everything I can put my mind to, and it's just up to me to step into it. So yeah, I think, my mum's a very confident, talkative, bubbly person. She believes that the sky is not even the limit. Like, you can go above and beyond. So yeah, I think definitely that has really helped with me just really feeling like everything that I really want and I've achieved, I definitely deserve.
I love it.
100%. Tiwa, what have been some of the things that you would share or you've shared with clients, and have you noticed any distinct differences between Black female founders and female founders from different cultures or with different backgrounds?
Yeah, I think with Black women, what I've seen a lot is that worthiness piece, exactly what you were saying, which is why I was so excited when you were saying I felt like I've always been worthy, because when I speak to a lot of Black women, it's always that like they're waiting for permission to step into their life. And I'm like, honey, you are responsible for your life. No one is going to give you permission. You have to take that permission and know that you are worthy. So when I have my one-to-one coaching sessions, the first thing I do is do an exercise that actually wakes women up to realize that everything they need to win in life is already within them. And a lot of women are living on autopilot because they don't know what greatness lies within them. So something I've seen across the board, both Black and white women, is like not being awake to the greatness within them. But I think with Black women more specifically is that understanding that your worth is intrinsic, and your worth does not depend on the color of your skin, your background, how much money you have, the challenges that you face. Like, you matter simply because you exist. The fact that you are alive, you are breathing, you are here means that you matter. So stop worrying about who says you're worthy or who doesn't believe in you or who does. Like, focus on what you want for your life and wake up to the fact that you already have what you need and you are worthy of the greatness that you dream of. So go off and get it. Like, it's that simple.
I love that. I feel like I'm getting so wrapped up in this conversation, I forgot about my questions. So Flo, I mentioned already that you started at 22, 29 now, so 7 years deep. Are you ever scared of, or have you ever fallen out of love with the beauty industry?
All the time. The beauty industry gets on my nerves. But funny enough, I get a lot of my inspiration from the music industry, because I feel like when artists talk about when they create projects, it's always like from a place of inspiration and passion. Whereas when I look at the beauty industry, it's very much, oh, this is the trend, this is in, this is what's not in. And I've never really wanted to run my business that way. So especially early on when my business first started getting into retailers, a lot of people would be like, oh, we love what you're doing, we want to stock your brand because we love it. And then the moment I'm in the door, oh, actually you should do this and you should change this and you should change this about your packaging. And I'd always just be like, nah, like I'm not going to do it. And then I released my liquid lipsticks around the time Kylie Jenner's liquid lipsticks came out and obviously were a massive success. And so I had retailers being like, oh, you need to have colors that are similar to Kylie Jenner. And I was like, nah, I'm not Kardashian. Like, this is not going to run. But I think always thinking about the music industry and like my favorite artists and like when I listen to my favorite albums and I'm like, oh, it makes me feel a way. Like that's how I want people to feel about my products. Like I want them to genuinely love it and feel like this has been made for me. This is not just something that's been made to be a copycat of another brand or another product. So yeah, I'm always kind of like, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm always like ranting about the beauty industry and like things that I see happen, and even like brands and things that brands are doing. Like the beauty industry can be very like copycatty. I've had brands like copy my brand or copy my colors. I've had like a certain brand, people reach out to me from their team and be like, oh, just want you to know like your brand's on our inspiration wall. And I'm like, great, like you're like one of the biggest brands in the world and you're taking inspiration from me. But at the same time, like that's a blessing, because if they're like looking at what I'm doing, they're not coming up with anything new. And I'm always thinking about like the future of my brand and the future of what I'm creating. And I think for me, that's so much bigger than just the industry that I'm in.
Absolutely. And you said something that I found quite important. You said that people were giving you feedback and you were dismissing it because you knew it wasn't for your brand.
Yeah.
How do you tread the fine line of knowing and being very clear on what your brand's about and what you stand for, but then also being receptive to feedback?
I think for me, when it comes to feedback, the most important feedback I can get is from my customers and my community, because they're going to tell me like what it is that they want and they're already invested. And it's so clear to see when someone gives feedback and they've not even been on the website. Like it's like they'll just by what they say or how, like sometimes the way people describe my brand, I'm like, you're not talking about my brand, because you like, if you know my brand, then you wouldn't kind of be saying that. Whereas I feel like when I've followed like my customers and given them what they want, like number one, the business grows, because like word of mouth still is like the number one form of marketing. So for someone to be like, I love this product and, you know, I'm going to speak to everyone I know, like my sister, my friend, my colleague at work about it, is what kind of helps my brand grow. So for me, it's more so looking at where the feedback is coming from and also what the person who gives the feedback has to gain from it. Because especially like when it comes to speaking to buyers, sometimes like some buyers absolutely fall in love with the brand and they genuinely do like want you to win, but for others you're just another SKU or you're just another product, and it's just about their curation and how, you know, their store and their environment. So for me, yeah, customers always number one.
That makes complete sense. And just for those watching that may not be that deep in the industry as yet, what is a buyer?
So a buyer is essentially the key decision maker from a store. So be it like Selfridges, Harvey Nichols, Sainsbury's, Tesco's, and they're the one who like decides whether or not they want to have your brand and how much they want to invest in having your brand. So how much like marketing they're going to give you, how much of your product they're going to buy from you. So like I know I've done a little bit of slagging, but it is a very important relationship when it comes to brand building. And in my career, I've met some awful buyers, but I've met some incredible buyers as well. And it's a weird thing. Like it's almost like a personal relationship, because they have to go on their instinct so much as well, even though they are kind of number crunching. So yeah, like have your own experiences. Don't be like, yeah, Flo said, don't go to buy it.
That's fair. And talking about feedback, Victoria, I know that you do some mentoring as well.
Yeah.
Are you mentored as well? And what made you feel inspired to start mentoring others as well?
Yeah. I would love to be mentored more. I think I have a good community around me who I essentially call mentors, but it's not like in print. Like, yeah, it's not formally. But yeah, I'm definitely like inspired by people all the time. If I need to ask questions, I definitely ask people who I feel like are achieving and greater than me, which is amazing. And I think for me, maybe because I've got little cousins, or I don't know what it is, but I've always kind of felt I need to help the next generation. And then it kind of just happened organically. People would just reach out to me and ask for help and send me messages. And I'm not someone who wants to just ignore people, even though I get a lot of messages, like LinkedIn and Instagram. It's a lot to go through, but definitely if I've like met you and then you've got my number, I will mentor you in that way. So yeah, I think it just kind of happened organically, and it's just based on my experience. I will never like mentor someone based on something I don't have any clue about, but more so just people who are inspired by achieving what I've achieved. So I just kind of give them the gems that I got from what I've done. So yeah, that's my mentorship journey so far.
Nice. You might get some people sliding in your DMs
Yeah.
for mentorship.
Where do we sign up?
How about you, Tree? Who mentors you, if anyone? And what's your thoughts on mentorship or your experience with it?
Kind of a similar thing. Like I don't necessarily have like a contract with anyone, like anything like formal, but same thing. Like if I need to reach out to people, I know there's people I can go to, which I would still consider them a mentor. And I also mentor younger, like got 3 mentors at the moment, 1 young boy and 2 young girls, which I think is always important. I think it's one of those things where it's like, I wish I had that at a younger age, and so I just always want to give back, and also just showing them what's possible. I think it's also a part of me thinking, only if I started a bit younger, like where would I be right now? So I'm always trying to give back, I guess. But I think it's always really important, like not being scared to ask for help. Just that whole thing of like, you don't have to do it by yourself. You're not going to have all the knowledge. And like, it took me a long time to understand that, that it's okay to say you need help or just to ask advice. Like that's okay to do. I don't know if it was this whole thing of, no, but I want to be able to, I did everything myself. Like, it was me.
That is
and
overrated.
Yeah, exactly. And definitely overrated, like you say. So, it's important, that sort of mentorship relationship that you have with other people, no matter how formal it is, it's still important knowing that there are people that you can go to for advice, etc. And it is okay to say you need help or guidance.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And what you do with the Curve Catwalk, as you said, was born out of your desire or knowing what you needed and creating a space for it. How do you balance passion but then also building a sustainable business?
I guess the passion helps me to fuel the sustainable business for sure. Because if I didn't have that passion, then girl, it would, I think people, just don't even know what goes behind the scenes, especially as like at the moment it's just, so it's me and I have dance instructors, but that passion has to be there. Like Tiwa was saying earlier, passion has to be there, because when you have to do those extra hours or, really stepping out of your comfort zone, like it is the passion that fuels it. So that 100% fuels the business. Otherwise, you would just fall out of love with it. You can't be bothered. There's no point. Like that would be the attitude behind it. Whereas because I'm passionate about it, because it's something that I know, like I said, I know I needed, and I know what it's offering other people, that absolutely is fueling everything, and getting feedback from women, that there is a greater goal. I know some people might look at my business and be like, oh, okay, it's a dance class. Well, it's more than that. I know it's more than that. I know it offers other people, and that there's always like a bigger message there. When it comes to confidence, when it comes to empowerment, there's always a greater goal, basically. And it's just, I choose to do it through dance and movement, whereas I feel like we're all doing that, just in our own lanes, which is amazing. So,
Love that. And Tiwa, you are your business. So how do you manage? Like, how do you separate Tiwa as an individual from Tiwa, who's the confidence coach, from Confident and Killing It? Like, how do you create that separation for yourself?
Ooh, right now there's no separation. There's no separation. It's kind of like, because it was like my story that really, and like my passion that really built Confident and Killing It. Like my voice is really much like running through the brand, but I've had to be very intentional about opening up the platform to give other women's voices space as well. So I'm getting a lot better with Confident and Killing It, and in terms of like highlighting other women's stories and things like that. But with the confidence coaching, as a coach, you have to make sure that your personal stuff doesn't interfere with what's at hand, because coaching and therapy aren't the same thing. And as a coach, my job is to wake my clients up, and then they overcome their challenges and they take the steps forward to where they want to go. So I can't like come in and be like, oh yeah, I did this and I did that. Like coaching isn't mentoring. So actually I say there's no boundaries. There are boundaries now that I think about it. I have to put my coaching hat on to be like, okay, I'm not mentoring this person. I'm not giving them all the answers. My job here is to wake them up. But still, my personality and my voice and my energy runs through that. I think where I kind of hit burnout was when I realized that actually I was a slave to my own business. Because I remember leaving my 9 to 5 on my first month of being an entrepreneur. I was like, oh, I can wake up at 12. This is great. And then a couple of months down the line, I'm like burning out. I'm working like more than 12-hour days. And I'm like, hang on, who set this up? I'm like, oh, it's me. Like, I'm not going to be a slave to a business that I created. So in April, May, June, I was coaching 20 women at the same time, and also doing corporate stuff, and also like thinking about setting up a podcast. So that was like, I was just overwhelmed by everything. So I said yes to everyone and everything. And so I've really learned to start saying no, because I think as a founder, you get this like scarcity mindset where it's like you have to say yes to everything because you don't know when your next opportunity is going to come. And so I've had to get better at actually saying no so that my mental and emotional well-being is like preserved, and like I still feel in love with my business, and not just letting all these requests like overwhelm me. So yeah. It's been a journey for sure, but now I'm a lot better. Like I'm only coaching 12 women at the time, and there's a waiting list for next year, and like you just like, I'm cool with that now, you know. Yeah, definitely had to start setting boundaries. Otherwise, like, yeah, the whole thing just turns into a mess.
I hear that. And talking of tangible resources, could everyone share at least 2 things that you're using to help manage your business? It can be like an app, it can be software, it can be a book, a podcast, just anything for anyone that's maybe in the early stages, or maybe the first or second year in trying to build a really good infrastructure for their business.
Yeah, so I love Squarespace. So I literally designed my whole website myself on Squarespace, and it has like a booking system as well. So, and a scheduling system. So when I'm sending out stuff to my clients, they have a link and they can see my diary, and they can book and they can pay through that same link. I don't need to create invoices. And when I do like payments in installments, they will automatically charge their card. So I don't need to like rush after anyone to pay me. So yeah, I love Squarespace. And Acuity is like the scheduling booking system in Squarespace as well. So if you're like a freelancer and you're having different appointment bookings with clients and stuff like that, definitely automate that system. Because if you start going, oh, I'm free at 1 o'clock, are you free at this? It's just like, it's so messy, and you want to make sure that you're creating a very smooth system for your clients as well. So I just send people a link through my Squarespace, they click on it, they book, they pay, it's done. So I definitely recommend Squarespace and Acuity and that whole mix.
Amazing. I'll say books. I love reading. Principled by Ray Dalio is a book that I read at the beginning of lockdown, and I'm at a point where like I'm looking at scaling my business, and there's some incredible like key principles in there. And another book that I'm reading at the moment is Supermaker by Jamie, I don't know how to say her last name, Schmidt, I don't know how to say it, but she like created like this deodorant business that she sold for 8 figures, but she didn't have a background in beauty and just started doing like markets and making it at home in her kitchen. And I think for like, I started making my products at home in my shed, and for a lot of people within my industry, like you know, you use spaces within your home. A lot of us here have spoken about starting at home. You mentioned like, you know, talking about having a space to work from home. So I think for me, like, it's one of those like nice inspirational stories, but it does show that like, you know, even with a small beginning, you can go on to build something incredible.
I haven't heard of either of those books, so I'm definitely
Yeah,
gonna buy those.
Principles is amazing.
Yeah.
I've not heard of it.
Wow.
Right.
Well, content. I'll talk about content because creating content. Yeah, I do a lot of content on Instagram and stuff like that. So Canva is a gem. It's free, so use Canva. There's loads and loads of templates, so I guess you don't have to be super like good at designing, but definitely switch up the designs. Like, I see designs and I'm like, that's Canva. Right? But it's free, it's fun, like you don't have to have crazy skills for it, but it's great. So I use Canva. I like edit a lot of the dance videos. I would have to I have Final Cut Pro and I do all that, but now you have InShot. I don't know if anyone heard of InShot, but you can like edit videos on your phone. It's so easy. So that's really helped my life. And then I schedule a lot. So there's loads of like scheduling things for Instagram. I know there's like Plannerly, there's Preview, there's loads of them, but scheduling apps makes it easy. And then I don't necessarily have to think about it or be like, oh crap, I haven't posted, like what can I do? So I schedule my content as well. So that's a little content gems, and they're all free.
Amazing.
Perfect. Yeah, so I'm like a spreadsheet Excel girl. Like I'm a geek. I'm like a maths geek. So I think initially I did a lot of my planning on Excel, which is just, it's hard when you're working with a team to kind of share what your plans are over Excel. So that was a headache. Then we moved to Google Sheets or what have you, still a headache. But I found this free tool called ClickUp. And it's really, really good for just like making sure everything's done. So like there's so many moving pieces as I can imagine. So it's just, I put all of the whole to-do list kind of just turns into a beautiful Gantt chart and timetable, which really warms my heart. But yeah, so ClickUp is definitely a love of mine at the moment.
Fair. So let's talk about 2020 because it's been one hell of a year, and
There's some turbulence.
It has been one hell of a journey. So I'm really interested to know how 2020 has impacted your business, whether it be Miss Corona, who won't leave us alone, or whether it be Black Lives Matter and the incentive to now buy Black and support more Black-owned businesses. I'm really interested to know how that's impacted everyone.
Everyone's looking at me. I would say 2020 has been an absolute roller coaster. Like even when I came in today, I couldn't remember what month we were in because just everything has happened. But for me, I feel like 20. I don't even know where to start. So I'll start from the top of the year. So I began the year having like a very like specific strategy around how I wanted my business to be. And then I almost got stuck in America because Trump decided to close the borders. So that kind of speaks to how things went. So came back home, and we were in a lockdown, and I'd say my business has like had like peaks and troughs depending on what's happening in the world. So the first lockdown like literally went to zero because nobody was going out. So no one was wearing lipstick and no one was buying lipstick because we were all buying toilet roll. So, and I was just like, okay, that's it. Maybe my business is over kind of thing. And then like over the summer, like as the lockdown eased, I started to see like my sales like go back up. And then the Black Lives Matter like movement picked up a lot of steam, and off the back of that came the Buy Black movement, which again, like, I saw some of the biggest sales months I've had in years over that time. And then like the US election happened, and there was like rumors of another lockdown, like things were happening across Europe, and then back to buying toilet roll and not lipstick. And then I recently filmed with Channel 4, and that video went out like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and literally like now 90% of my stock has sold out. So it's just been such a crazy like up and down year. And for me, the biggest lesson for me has been the fact that nothing has happened the way that I planned it or wanted or expected, but I've still had really, really incredible moments. And so it kind of speaks to what I was saying earlier about knowing like, okay, I'm in my purpose, I'm doing the right thing. And also just knowing that there are going to be years like this. And I think like another thing that's come out of it, like over the lockdown period, I started doing like masterclasses for mostly women who wanted to start businesses or had decided to start making things because they'd been at home. And I think for me, what's really incredible coming off the back of this is like there's this big like making movement or entrepreneurship movement, especially amongst women, because it's just like life is not promised, like nothing, there's no like real stability. So people are kind of like, you know, creating their own lane. And for me, that's really powerful. And that's something that makes me really happy and feel really optimistic about the new year. I can't wait for 2020.
I think the thing that 2020 taught me for the first time was that when we're planning for the year, we only ever used to account for things that we had control of within the company. So it was like, okay, if we do this campaign here, then we know that this is going to happen, or it's Christmas here, it's Valentine's Day here. So let's plan around that. Whereas when I look back at the plan that we had for 2020, it's gone in the bin. Like, there's absolutely nothing that is relevant on it.
I'm like, did we even have Valentine's Day this year?
Because I'm not used to I'm not used to factoring in world events or like external things. For me, it was always very much tunnel vision. What are we doing inside the company? How can we impact sales internally? And what are we doing? So yeah, that it's a new terrain, but I'm getting used to it. Definitely getting used to it. How about you, Tiwa?
So I left my full-time job December 2019, and I was like, I'm not going to worry about business plan or anything just yet. I just want to like enjoy my Christmas, you know, dirty December, all of that. And then when I come back to the UK in January, like fresh mind, I'll figure out what I'm going to do. So come back in January, I'm like, 2020 is going to be my year. All of the stars were aligned. It was beautiful. January, I started getting a little bit of traction. February was good. March, International Women's Day. So my bookings were starting to come up. I was like, okay, I'm about this life. And then I was living off my savings till that point. So April, May, June was when like I was going to start seeing money coming in from my business. And then March happens and lockdown happens. And I'm literally in the space of a week, I literally get cancellation email after cancellation email after cancellation email. And each one of them is just like a blow to my chest every single time. And literally, wow, I've cried some really ugly tears this year. You know, when you're just like,
I know that.
Wow. I was just there with my popcorn and my wine, like literally. But I had this image in my head, and my negative thoughts were telling me, you've hit rock bottom, just go get another job. There's no way you're going to bounce back from this. And I had this graph going. It was like January, February, March comes crashing down. And then that was it. That's where it ended. And that's what was playing over and over again in my mind. And I had to say to myself, like, Tiwa, is this the story you want for yourself? That lockdown happened, you know, your opportunities got canceled and you gave up and went to get another job. And I was like, no, that is not the story I want. So I was like, okay, what is the story I want then? Okay, March happened. I couldn't control that. But April, May, June, July, I want to see growth like I've never seen before. So I redrew that graph on a piece of paper where it was started to go up when it came to April, May, June. And I wrote, whatever goes down must come back up. I am unstoppable. And I put that on my vision board and looked at it every single day because I was like, that is what I'm working towards. It is going to come back up. And it absolutely did, bigger than I could ever imagine. So I realized I was an entrepreneur, I was freaking out, but I'm naturally a confident person. And I was thinking there's so many other female entrepreneurs out there who might not be confident, who are also freaking out. Let me put on something to help them and give back to my community. So I started a webinar series called Killing It as an Entrepreneur through April, May, June, where I was running webinars every other Sunday on like money, well-being, personal brand, like starting your business, things like that. And I had over 1,000 women attend the webinars, right? And I just thought it would be one webinar just to see how it goes. And then it ended up being like a 5-part series. And so that just like kind of created like so much brand awareness, and like people started finding out about me and hearing the message. And then that led to a whole bunch of like corporate clients and things like that. And just, yeah, things have really taken off. I think I'm just so grateful that one, I bet on myself and I didn't give up and go back into a full-time job. But yeah, the resilience that has been displayed this year has been insane. And, you know, I've had months where like I didn't know where my December money was coming from. I didn't know where the next month's salary was coming from, but something always showed up in the moment. That I have not gone since March. There has not been one month where I've said I've made no money. something has always come up. And so I'm so grateful to like God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. I just know I'm not alone in this. And I just know that when you step in purpose, everything aligns and you just experience like abundance in your life. And so I'm just so grateful for the level of abundance that I've experienced, but also for the low days, because it was in the lows that I came up with the ideas for the things I'm experiencing now.
Absolutely. And can you give us a quick humble brag on who some of your corporate clients have been?
I haven't been bragging enough. Okay. So I've literally worked with Facebook, Google, YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, Deloitte, Morgan Stanley.
Keep going.
Yeah, Beauty Stack, UN Women, UK. Literally, and it's so funny because last year November I went to an event at Google and I stole my security tag with my name on it because I wanted to put the security tag with my name and the Google logo on my vision board, because I said I'm going to be back here one day running a workshop. And literally the way the Google workshop even happened was crazy, because I was putting on a workshop, just like a weekend workshop with my community, and my goal was to have like 10 people sign up, and I had 2 dates available. So my goal was to get 10 people in each group. On the one date, only 2 people signed up, but on the second date, 10 people signed up. So I was like, oh, this is embarrassing. Like, should I cancel that workshop because there's only 2 people? What if they think like I'm not good at what I do, that I can't get people to sign up? And then I was just freaking out, and I was like, hang on. And this is what I was saying about success, right? Success isn't about 2 or 10 people. It's about, did I put on the workshop? So I said, you know what, I'm just going to put on this workshop with the 2 people and have fun and enjoy it, because it's not about the numbers, it's about the impact the content has on their lives. And so somebody in that came to that workshop worked at Google. And because there was only 2 of them, they had such an amazing experience. She was like, Tiwa, I love your work. You are straight to it. There's no fluff. I need to go back and tell everyone at Google about you. And she did, and then that's how it happened. And then it was like, yes, we need to book you for an interview here, and then we need to book you to run a workshop here. And then someone at Facebook got in touch with me that they were deciding between the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer of Netflix, versus me coming in to give a talk, and they chose me.
Wow.
And I was like, that does not add up. Like, there's something, like, this is crazy. But I think, you know, I didn't just wake up one day and start doing this, right? This is 10 years of, you know, 10,000 hours of practice behind the scenes type of thing. So, you know, I started off working as a youth leader, where every single Friday night I was giving my time to young people. And that's where I learned like my confidence in public speaking and knowing like what content people resonate with. So all of this is happening now because I have been preparing for this moment, you know? And yeah, so I'm really excited for 2021, because I'm like, if this was 2020, like, you know, next year's gonna be lit and I'm ready, so let's have it.
I definitely want to come back to what you said about putting in the hours, because I think the most dangerous thing about the entrepreneurship experience online right now is, yep, I can wake up tomorrow and I can become an entrepreneur without paying homage to the fact that people actually put in a lot of work and a lot of time to refine their skills. So we'll come back to that. Okay. But as of right now, Tree, 2020, how did it treat you? Or how is she treating you?
Woo! 2020. Yeah, so it started off, I remember someone said Valentine's Day, and I remember Feb, we went on.
I don't even remember Valentine's Day.
I know, we went on, well, I remember it only.
It was like last year.
Only because, I just remember it because I did a retreat, and it was the first retreat, and then it went so well that we were like, yeah, let's do one in summer. So that's why I remember that moment. And so yeah, March comes about, and you know, just doing our normal thing like classes, blah blah, planning for this next retreat. That's where we were at. And then yeah, lockdown comes, and it was like, what? And the difference with my business and my space is that everybody all of a sudden was like, right, we're doing all these classes online, Instagram, 10 a.m, let's go. And I was just like, wait, like, I just thought, like, do I have to keep up with this? And I remember just feeling like the whole world was swallowing me up, because now I I felt such a responsibility to my community to provide something for them. And I just thought, oh my goodness, like, what am I going to do? And I was really beating myself up about it because I felt like I wasn't doing enough for them. Like, I need to be putting on these events. I need to be like going live every day. Like, it was so intense, you know? And then I had to stop and just think, look, like, I can't give to others if I'm not giving to myself first. That whole like idea of can't pour into other people's cup if yours isn't full. So I remember, I think a good month, I was like, I stopped everything. Like, I literally put the business temporarily like on pause because I was like, I'm so overwhelmed. There's no rule book to say what happens in a pandemic, you know, like what you're meant to do. And yeah, like, social media was just so intense. Like, I was just like, okay, I can't keep up with this. So I just had to take that time out. And even though I felt the guilt, I felt a lot of guilt, like I'm not doing enough for the business. But I'm so glad I did. I took that time out for myself, just had opportunities to just like gather my thoughts, like get my energy back, you know, and just like have that self-talk that you're talking about, like, no, you know what you're doing, you're good. So once I got myself together, finally, it was really important to take that time. Then it was like, okay, I didn't want to burn myself out by doing live classes all the time and thinking like I really had to like keep up with this. So I decided to do some pre-recorded classes, which I thought was going to be like the best idea ever. And it wasn't. So it was because I got the most signups I've ever received. Like, literally, we had like over 1,000 people sign up to these like live classes and stuff like that because people want to keep moving, they want to keep healthy, like, and loads of people are spending more time online during the lockdown, so loads of people were discovering my business. So I had the most signups like ever. But then I was like, it's just me. Like, I have to do it all. So I was like recording everything and editing for hours. And yeah, I definitely created a lot of work for myself. And prior to this point, I didn't have instructors. So it literally was just me doing everything. So yeah, pros and cons at that point. That was lockdown number one. Then things eased up a bit once we came out of that lockdown. And again, like I said, because loads of people were spending more time online, I had people discover me. So like TV companies and like wanting to do a show with me, wanting to do a documentary. I had like a big brand come through and wanting to collaborate. So all of a sudden it was just like ding, 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 like things are just happening. And I was like, okay, this is cool. But I do remember at the beginning, like Tiwa was saying, like, it was like a blow because loads of contracts were getting pulled and things being postponed. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do? It was really sad. I definitely cried. Let me not lie. There were tears. I was like, because everything's over. Oh my God. But yeah, so from the first lockdown, moving into like the second lockdown, like I said, now I've got the most signups I've ever received. I've got all this attention. Like I said, I did some filming when the lockdown had eased. So I also had a Channel 4 thing that went out. And then that literally just brought an influx of people to the business. From there, even people were like applying to teach. So now I've got instructors. Yeah. So second lockdown, I was like, I got this. Literally, I've made the most money I've ever made. Like I said, I can now delegate because now I have a team. A team is so important. You need to talk about how important a team is, please. A team is so important. So like, I can now delegate. I just do like the content stuff and I can just like breathe while people are still doing it. So yeah, in that sense, the lockdown, everything has been amazing for my business because it's this whole thing of like, you're stuck in your house, but people wanted to stay active. People wanted to do things. People wanted to connect with people still, and people were spending so much time on their phones. Yeah. So it was that whole idea of like brand awareness. It was like amazing. I think it just took a long time for me to figure out how to navigate it from my end.
But I'm happy that you took your time to do that instead of rushing.
So am I, because the internet was rushing me, girl.
But it was intense. I can definitely relate to the guilt that comes with not doing it, because 2019, TreasureTress pretty much done an event every single month. We done panels, we done workshops, we done teen experience workshops, we done pop-up shop. We were always doing something. And then we were getting ready to start again, and then lockdown. And I was like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? Like, we're not going to do panels for these people. We're not doing any events. Does it look like we're just neglecting our community? But then I was like, Jamelia, also, one, you have to stay alive. Two, you have to make sure that everyone on your team is good and that they still have jobs. And that's actually more important right now
100%.
because we're not going to be able to serve our community if we're not okay as a team. So I definitely had that moment of, I feel so bad that I'm not helping anyone, but I need to help myself and I need to help my team.
Exactly.
Like, I need to make sure that we're good so that we can actually enter this next phase rather than like trying to do everything, burning ourselves out. Because if you had done everything the first time, you would have been burnt out for the opportunities that were to follow.
I would not be sitting here. So in hindsight, looking back, I'm so glad I was sensible enough to acknowledge, no, Trina, you need to pour into yourself right now. And we're all in survival mode. Like, you know what I mean? We're all trying to survive. So I need to do what I need to do for myself to survive in this moment, you know? So I had to pour into myself. So I think that's a really key thing that I've learned for myself, that I have to give to myself before I give to others 100%. And then, it's just, I just had to do a whole, like, re-strategize things for the brand. So now, of course, I'm doing online classes. Like, I had to just, like, think about that. But it's been amazing because now I'm having students and people come from all over the world dancing with us. Like, you know what I mean? So in that sense, it's been amazing because I wouldn't have thought, I don't have the time to do online classes as well. Whereas now I'm like, that's the way to go. Like, I was leaving my house. Like, what? You know what I mean? So in that sense, 2020 has been amazing for the business. I just had to make sure I was good first before I could come up with these amazing ideas for the business. So
How about you, Victoria? Because I know everyone spent a lot of time in the supermarkets and still are to this day because it's the only place we can go.
Exactly. So in terms of sales, 2020 has been really good for Sumo, and especially even online. So online, I guess everyone wants to order online, and food wasn't something that, outside of Ocado or a place like that, wasn't something that people, I think, thought they should buy online. They just thought you go into a supermarket. But it's started to be something that people adopt more online. I remember doing a panel, I think October last year, and was talking about online sales and how, it's not really adopted right now in the food industry, but it's kind of done a complete overhaul, and people are buying food online much more. So it's been really good, I would say, for the business. I'm very optimistic though, so I had to think about the negatives. I think for me, I just want to go to the cafe and I just want to go get some food, and I can't do that, and it's just it's really annoying. And then also there is a big like TV show coming out. We was meant to be filming for ITV during this time, but we can't do it just because of COVID-19. So that's been pushed to 2021. So I guess in the sense that like things have kind of gone on hold because of this whole coronavirus thing. So it's been a really positive year in terms of sales for Sumo.
That's how I had to think about it as well. Like, things are just on hold.
Yeah.
They're not. It's not. Oh, Island. Yeah. It's so dramatic. Like, it's over. Like you say, it's just on hold. It's just on pause. Like, I had to just make sure I was just like keeping up those relationships, making sure I'm just checking in with people, like just keeping that going, and it's just on hold. Next year or wherever it is, you can sort of build on that, and who knows, it might even be the idea or whatever could be bigger than what you had originally done.
I find that that's always the case. And I feel like where everyone's just had to stop, I feel like even maintaining relationships, I've actually found professional relationships a lot more fulfilling this year, because the conversation isn't just, can you participate? But instead it's, how are you? How have you been? How's your family been? Oh, okay, cool. So I feel like everyone's been humanized this year, whereas before it was just very transactional. And I kind of hope that stays going forward. But Tiwa, going back to your point about the fact that you have put so many years and so many hours in place to get you ready for what is now your peak, but won't be your peak in a few years because you're going to continue to go up. I want to explore that a bit more, and I don't know, maybe everyone else can speak on how their journey so far has prepared them for where they are today.
I think humble beginnings are so important, and I think you mentioned that earlier. Like, actually, like, don't despise the days of humble beginnings. You know, yes, I started off as youth mentor in a basement in Oxford, like every Friday, dedicating like 3 hours of my time to hanging out with young people. And that was where I legitimately found my purpose in Confident and Killing It and in what I'm doing now. And I remember one of the kind of other youth leaders, she came up to me and she was like, Tiwa, I really, really see you having some sort of community or movement or ministry, something like that. She was like, just from the way you speak, I just know. And I was like, wow, okay. So then that got me thinking about, the possibilities of my life and things like that. And yeah, like I was saying, it was that moment. And I think you can't just think your way into purpose. You can't think your way into passion. You actually have to practice and get started and see how it makes you feel. So the day I knew that, okay, this is actually where I need to be going with my life was when I quit the job in the engineering company. And I came to the youth group to run the workshop. Everyone was like, Tiwa, what is up with you today? Like, you are on fire. Like, you are great. And I was like, ooh, that makes sense, right? That job was not aligned with my purpose, and speaking to people is. So this is the path I need to follow. And I think the key thing about that is being intentional about your personal growth. Confidence is a practice. Like growth, confidence is something you have to be intentional about. When I was 21, I thought I'll wake up when I'm 25, have money and be like, yeah, I'm grown, life is good. And then you get to 25 and you're like, wow, adulting is the ghetto. You know?
Absolutely.
So I think like being aware, like the most important thing, your mindset is the foundation to everything you go on to do. And so if you don't invest in who you want to be and your mindset, and actually like invest in your confidence and your growth, you're not going to get to where you want to be. Like before the dream house and the dream car and the dream business, you need to be in a good place first, because that's when the success comes. So I think there's so many, I think Instagram makes it look like, oh yeah, like you can wake up one day and be making £100,000 in sales and things like that. And comparison is the biggest driver of negative thoughts. Comparison will steal your joy. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're listening to this, try not to compare your journey to other people's, because my most miserable days were when I was comparing 1 year into my business with somebody who's already 10 years ahead of me. If you really think about it, that makes no sense whatsoever. You've just started. How are you going to compare your journey to somebody 10 years ahead? So I had to stop that whole comparison of looking left and right and look back from where I've come and all the hours that I put in, and be grateful for the growth, and look forward to where I'm going and, how I have the skills to take me to where I need to go. So yeah, learning to stop comparing yourself to other people and to put in the work, because it's all part of the process. You're on a journey, and being an entrepreneur is not a sprint at all. And if you treat it as a sprint and want to have everything all in one go, all at the same time, it's going to lead to a lot of disappointment. So I've had to really manage my expectations and realize that I can't have it all at the same time. I can have different seasons for different things. And keep putting in the work and just take every day as it comes. That's what I do now. Just take every day as it comes. Can I win today? Yes. Okay, let me win tomorrow and the day after, instead of like going so far in the future and like getting disheartened because I can't control anything.
Perfectly said. Flo, how about you? Because you've been in the startup space, I'm sure before there was a startup space, because I remember going to one of your talks. Maybe I was like 6 months into TreasureTress, or like 3 months into TreasureTress. And I remember looking at you thinking, wow, like she really done it. This is amazing. So what's your experience with the startup scene, and maybe what's some advice that you would perhaps offer to anyone that looks at your journey?
I'd first of all, following what Tiwa said, putting in the hours is so important. And I started working in the beauty industry at the age of 16 and working on counters, rain, sun, snow, going into Selfridges, wearing heels for 8 hours. And I always say, I'm glad that there was no Instagram because I would have just been like, well, I can't afford a Birkin. but yeah, and yeah, so you have to, no matter how you do it, whether you do it publicly or privately, to get to a certain amount of success, you have to put in the hours. And I think I've been quite lucky, like you said, like I was able to get into the startup scene, not intentionally. I've just luckily been around a lot of other people who also run businesses. A lot of friends that I went to school with, have businesses, and kind of created like this like environment for small businesses owned by Black people within the UK. And then they were just like, oh, Flo, you have a business, come be a part of this. So that's been really helpful. But I think for me, what's kind of helped me like stay on track over the years is just knowing that like I'm just not the only one going through it. Like it's been even just being on this panel and hearing everyone's stories makes me like even more know that we're all going through our own thing. Like everyone has their struggles, everyone has their battles, and you literally, like Tiwa said, have to just take it one day at a time. And I think, like you said, again, like, I'm just going to repeat everything Tiwa said, like you cannot compare your journey to other people, because I've had people who started their businesses at the same time as mine, had a like complete upward trajectory. And like, even Sophia, who I mentioned earlier when I was saying how much she inspired me at the beginning of my talk today, her business went bankrupt. So anything can happen. So you can't focus on what other people are doing. You really have to just like stay the course, take it a day at a time, a week at a time, a month at a time, and like build a community around you, people who understand. I think one of the hardest things about running a small business that a lot of people don't talk about is just the amount of people in your personal life who they do genuinely care about you, but they just don't have an understanding of what it is that you're trying to do. And so sometimes their advice of like, oh, you know, maybe you should be realistic, or maybe not like dream so big, or maybe focus on smaller stores over getting into a large store, and all these little things that people will say can kind of get into your head. So as long as you kind of keep empowering people around you and you have voices to counteract other negative voices, yeah, you just keep plodding along.
How about you, Tree? Any advice that you want to offer as far as like how long you've kind of been in the game for, that has led you to this point? Or maybe it's not something that's directly linked to Curve Catwalk, but you can look back and be like, oh, actually, that was preparing me for this.
Gosh, so much. So my background is in television production. So I freelanced in that industry for 10 years from when I was 16. And from young, actually, from I started that career, I was always juggling things.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember my first job was at the BBC and I was at uni. And then I think I was doing part-time at the BBC, I was at uni and I had another job. So like that sort of, I mean, at the time I wasn't looking at it as like, oh, I'm such a hard worker. It was like, I just need to do what I need to do. Like I was trying to earn money, get my education, but get experience, like all at the same time. So looking back, I guess I was always that driven person. I think I learned from there, like you really have to go for what you want. That's what it was kind of teaching me. But yeah, I was putting in the hours. My last job in TV was at Sky Sports. I was working at Sky Sports and I had started Culture, which is a platform that I have. And then I started the Curve Catwalk. So once again, I was juggling like the three things. And it kind of just became like the norm almost, like doing multiple things. But I think working in like a corporate space, it was that whole thing of how can I put in all these hours into building someone else's dream and building someone else's goal and vision and not put hours into my own. So that sort of, I guess my hard work when it came to working at other companies, I was like, I have to apply that to my own. And I can't not do that, you know, especially if I have a passion, something that I want to do, I absolutely need to apply that same drive and those same principles working in a business and working in a company to my own, you know what I mean? So keeping up relationships. I had to do that in my workplace, scheduling, being organized, you know, even just things like I would have to be at work at 9 o'clock. When it comes to my own business, I'm absolutely not getting up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, so being disciplined, I think it really helped me with that. Gosh, there's so much, to be honest, but I think it's that whole idea of you can't be doing all these things in a job and not apply those same principles or even more to your own business. Yeah. That's how I would sort of encompass all of that.
How about you, Victoria?
Advice?
Or yeah, any advice for anyone entering the entrepreneurship experience? So maybe they've
Yeah.
seen the successful Sumo and think, oh yeah, I can do this overnight. Like,
Yeah.
just maybe giving people advice on that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely not overnight. Yeah, I think that sometimes people think, I don't know. Of course, there's probably overnight successes, but there's definitely a lot of work that goes behind the scenes. Sometimes people think, oh, it's just because, I don't know, their personality or something has just helped them along the way. But I would say, and even though it's like the space is full of these white women and white males, they put a lot of work in behind the scenes. Like, they post all the time. They like, I speak with them and they've done a lot of work. Same like I have. And you, from the kitchen to going to events, and you might see an amazing event being put on, or branding and like staff members, but you don't know that the founder's actually been in the kitchen in the morning and been setting up the whole thing as well. So I think you kind of reap what you sow. You have to put the hours in to get the output. You have to send the emails to hundreds of people. So yeah, there is a lot of work that goes on when it comes to being an entrepreneur. So don't just think that, I guess, there's the one ticket that you need to get. You do need to do a lot of I would say licking up to people as well, just like beg friending, everything. Like, just be that person that does it all. I would definitely as well say, just be fearless with it. There's been times where I'm just like, oh, what do they think? Or I don't want to bug them and stuff like that. But being fearless and in people's face has paid off. So I would just say, like, be bold with everything you do in your brand as well.
I would also add as well, like, remember, I feel like for me, times when I feel like I'm veering off track, I always have to remember my why. Like, why did I start this? Because, like someone said earlier, it's not even about like the numbers. Someone might have more numbers than you, whatever, but always, or imposter syndrome is like a big thing for me. I'm like, oh, what am I doing? But always remembering your why and like why you started this, not just for like, I don't know, Insta fame, you know? It's like work actually goes to this, and always go back to your why. And that will sort of, that's helped me just stay on track.
Definitely.
Well, thank you, ladies, so much for your time. This conversation could honestly go on forever because I still have more questions, but I'm mindful of time. But I really appreciate you all taking the time out to travel down here, first of all, to record, but then also sharing your experiences, because they're all equally as inspiring. And I know that this is definitely going to help a lot of people. So thank you.